Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our weekly scheduled YouTube Live. We're here today to update you on all that's happening with immigration programs, policies, and updates. There's one province which has officially won the worst provincial nominee program of all of North America. Which province is this? We'll look into it. Other news and updates from PNPs, Provincial Nominee Programs, IRCC, which is the Canadian Immigration Department, Service Canada, which handles LMIAs, and some interesting refusal cases, which we will dissect and learn from other people's mistakes for Canadian immigration. Expect nothing else except the exposed truth, just like all the rest of our videos. If you're new and you're wondering what's this guy blabbing about, who is he, why should I even listen to him? Well, quick introduction, and this may be repetitive for people who are here every week, but my name is Reza. I work with INGWE Canada, licensed immigration firm, working and specializing in business and investment migration for businesses, people, families, and individuals. Is this what I do nonstop? Sit in front of a camera every day and talk? No. Not an actual full-time YouTuber, but I work hands-on with our license team, working on actual applications and communicating with the immigration departments, both inside and outside the country, representing our clients and the clients of some of our B2B partners. Why are we posting this video? These are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience, including, but not exclusive to, existing clients, potential new applicants, and immigration consultants and agencies. If you're thinking about immigrating, we're here to help. Get a free email assessment with us by filling out the form down below. And of course, if you're an active immigration practitioner, we can assist you with outsourcing your back office operations, including assessments, processing, and pre and post landing support. We are a global mobility solution provider. Many more options than just Canada, if you didn't know. And by the way, great news, folks. We're going to Vietnam. We're going to be in Vietnam this year in March. We're going to be in China in April and Hong Kong. And we're going to be in Los Angeles and San Francisco in May at specific events. And reach out to us if you're a B2B partner or want to become a B2B partner or a potential investor that's situated in any of these locations. So let's jump into all the updates. Let's start with Saskatchewan Entrepreneur Program. There was a draw, and I'll explain to you why I like this program. And folks, I'm not just going to blurb out the update. We're going to say why you should care, who it will affect, and whether it's even significant enough to change your mind on any specific immigration path you have or may have in now or in the future for Canada. So Saskatchewan Entrepreneur Program, the reason we like it is the only entrepreneur program in all of Canada, which is the second largest country in the world, that doesn't require a proof of English to be nominated for PR for its entrepreneur program. So the investor business program. So they invited 13 applicants. The draw was done in January. Minimum score 120, average 135. So basically anyone with over 125 were invited, right? And they were looking for lower scores, but maybe people with lower scores would have to have language. But if you didn't have language and had a higher score, you'd be invited, okay? So this is a great program because you do not need to provide any proof of language to apply for the program, run through the program, get nominated, and obtain your PR. Folks, listen to me. There's no other programs like this out there. One or two that for business and skilled immigration, okay? So there's been an update, or let's say clarity, from IRCC in terms of the study permits and all those changes that's happened over the past month. Basically, everyone needs a provincial attestation letter, except secondary school, elementary school, and masters and graduates. But everyone else, okay? Everyone else in undergraduate studies, right? will be stuck having to have a provincial attestation letter, right? Doctoral degrees are exempt, or exchange students, and of course, and work permit holders. Okay. So in Canada, family of study worker programs, who's that? So basically, if you are a full-time worker, right, and you have a work permit, your dependents can apply for a study permit, and they are exempt from this attestation letter. Okay. As of February 15th this year, which is in 7 days, I guess, postgraduate work permits are going to be 3 years for graduate level studies, no matter how long you study, as long as a degree-based graduate level in one of the major identified and recognized public institutions. So there were just some clarity. It didn't really give you much. Spousal open work permits are not going to be eligible for new study permit holders as of September onwards this year. Okay. So if you're planning to come here to study at college, which is 90% of all international students, or at a language school or anything else, your spouses or common law partners will not be eligible for spousal open work permits, which means they either need to come as a student separately, find a separate job, or you need to be studying at a master's level. OIMP, Ontario Provincial Nominee Program. Yes, folks, it is official. It is the worst PNP in all of North America. Ta-da! We would like to give it a prize for being the worst. Why is it the worst? Well, as we've said before, they've stopped their entrepreneur program. They shut down their success in it, and they just made it even worse. So it's shut down for now. We don't know if and when they'll launch their new entrepreneur program for the Ontario PNP. So right now, if you're a business or investor and you want to come into the province, you only have federal options. You do not have options under the PNP entrepreneur stream or any kind of business, provincial business immigration stream. Okay. Bad news. Sure. It is the worst PNP. Yes. They had a health occupations draw for human capital stream, which basically means, folks, they pick from express entry people specifically in a range score and occupation. And thankfully, they misspelled health occupations draw on their website, and they stated it as heal occupations draw. So therefore, we're actually giving them the worst PNP award of 2024. No entrepreneur program, shut down 2 programs, didn't launch a new one, misspelling. When you contact their support on email and phone, it is the worst response, the vaguest and the longest of all PNPs. We thought BC was, fighting for first place in terms of the worst PNPs, but I am actually happy with PNP in BC and not Ontario. If you're a professional in a white-collar job and you want to be sponsored by an employer here, it is very difficult to be nominated and obtain your PR, unless you're in the in-demand skill stream, which is farm workers, construction and trades, and other more hands-on, lower skill level. Those are good. The rest, forget it. So it officially has our blessing as the worst provincial program in all of Canada. Other updates across Canada: the premiere of Newfoundland and Labrador, and never heard of it, or if you never visited, no problem. I haven't either. They traveled to Dubai with a whole delegation to recruit healthcare workers for their province. So they traveled, 5 days ago, and basically they were looking for connections and meetings to bring in more nurses and doctors. And they've done that since April last year. They've brought in more than 450 nurses and 79 doctors recruited to the province because they have a serious shortage. And big news flash, that shortage is all across Canada. Prince Edward Island, they've got a draw under the Prince Edward Island's express entry skilled worker and critical worker streams. And most of these draws, if you're express entry eligible and being employed by a PE or sponsored by a PE employer, you could pick up your PR on arrival. Great, right? Minimum score was 65, and it was 78, 136 invitations issued in January, 78 invitations issued in February this month. Healthcare, construction, manufacturing, food processing, agriculture, early childhood educators. The only thing that wasn't there was IT, but I'm pretty sure if it was, they'd pick those up too. So the beauty with PEI is they'll pick anyone, right? Not like Ontario. Folks, remember, we're always posting about these key details on Canadian immigration, IRCC policy updates, programs, and other immigration options for professionals and entrepreneurs. And if that's what you're interested in, you can subscribe to a YouTube channel for more deep dive videos. Okay, upcoming recruitment events. So New Brunswick has basically a schedule of recruitment events that the provinces will be attending. So in the next 12 months, they're going to be in March. They're going to have a virtual information session for on March 5th, basically for Philippines and UK, Ireland applicants. March 6th, they'll have a virtual session for Mexico, applicants from Mexico. March 16th, 17th, long-term care mission for Philippines, and that's not virtual, they'll actually be there. And then international recruitment mission in France in March 21st and 22nd, they'll be in Paris. And then March 25th, 6th, and 7th, they'll be in Lyon, looking for specific occupations like health, finance, education, manufacturing, and sawmills. And then they'll do a forestry international recruitment mission in Morocco, Côte d'Ivoire, and Senegal. So that's for their lumber industry. And then simultaneous interpreters will be available because those are French-speaking African countries, folks. The New Brunswick Express Entry stream. So there is an update. In New Brunswick, they will stop this stream. So skilled work and express entry for retail occupations, restaurant, food service managers, food service supervisor, cooks, and similar occupations. So if you're in those occupations, you got to go to where? You got to go to the AIP, Atlantic Immigration Program. Manitoba PNP processing times have increased, so they're beyond 6 months now. So keep that in mind. They are backlogged. They had a Ukraine draw where they've invited 117 Ukrainians that have been basically sponsored locally in Manitoba because there's a big Ukrainian population there. And then the BC draws happening in February and Jan. Obviously, BC PNP had draws, and the general skilled worker category, which is the highest score that you need, is 122. It's huge. It's a very high score. Last draw is 120. 102 invitations were issued, which is higher. And of course, the childcare category is a lower score, was 60, with a score of 60, and construction and healthcare workers with a score of 75. So that's good, and 60 respectively. So that's good. So construction workers is a good PNP path in BC because you don't need 120 in terms of their PNP score. And it's a tricky points matrix, folks. It depends on your wage, how long you've been working in that NOC code, how long you've been working for that employer, where in BC you are, what's your education and language ability. And of course, folks, if you look at the draws overall, the scores have been quite high in BC PNP, right? But for healthcare and semi-skilled and childcare category, the score remained the same. However, for the general skilled and the tech occupations, definitely the score has increased recently. We expect the score to kind of average out over the middle of this year. So that's key. Let's look at some interesting things. So before we jump into that, you'll mention that, okay, Ontario PNP, if I can't go entrepreneur Reza, what should I do? Well, you've got federal options: intracompany transfer, C10, C11, and startup visa. So those are possible to come in. Or you could do the RNIP, right, which is not a business immigration, the rural northern, but you could invest, and it's kind of like an owner-operator, except through a regional PR program. So there's other options if you want to be based in Ontario through business and investment. Let's look at some interesting case law for these special investor type LMI exempt work permits. So there's a case law that was published in January this year, Justice Little, and it was based on significant benefit regulation 205A, LMI exempt work permit to create or maintain significant benefit for Canada. So what happened was that the work permit was refused, the judicial review was filed, and the court decided against the applicant and supported the officer's refusal. And the interesting thing on that is, if I can bring it up, is that, okay, let's look at this, folks. If we can look at it, give me a minute here. Yes, folks, sometimes we don't have our scripts in front of us. So basically, that file was interesting because what happened is that it was a C12 application. The officer was not satisfied the requirements for the LMI exemption under intra-company transfer, which is the old it's called C12. It used to be. Now it's C6123. So they weren't convinced that it was LMI exempt and they would be eligible under the stream. The applicant did not provide a viable business plan, and I'm quoting here from the court's documents, did not show how his intended employment in Canada was reasonable, and did not show the business that they wanted to start would create significant benefits for Canadians or permanent residents. The onus was on the applicant to provide all the necessary evidence to convince the officer that he was LMI exempt. Here, the officer was not satisfied that the applicant met the requirements for LMI exemption as an intracompany transferee. It is not the role of this court, so this is what the judge said, to reassess the merits of the work permit application or to reweigh the evidence. So therefore, the application is dismissed, right? So bad application, forget judicial review. It's a dead end. Let's look at this second case, okay? So this is, let's look at this second case, which is interesting. So this was published in September 2023. And what happened was that it was an intra-company transfer work permit application. And the applicant specified that they would want to be transferred over to the new branch for 1 year with wife and kids. The judicial review was dismissed, and the federal court judge sided with the IRCC officer's decision to refuse this application, a new application for intra-company transfers, new startup branch. So I'm going to quote a few areas of this so you can understand why it was refused and how the judge is siding with the government's decision. The officers reasonably found that this applicant had not demonstrated the requisite employer-employee relationship, no plan to acquire physical premises in Toronto, and the financial information submitted was insufficient to demonstrate this company's ability to commence business and compensate employers, that the business plan did not establish significant economic benefit for Canadians or PRs, and that this company would not be large enough to support an executive or management function. And it's interesting when you look through the case law, I'm going to go through it. The documents submitted in support of the application include certificate of incorporation, business plan for the first year, work certificates from the overseas company, the headquarters, and signed on behalf of the applicant, and an agreement to lease a virtual office in Canada for the new branch, and of course, recent bank history of the applicant. So according to the officer's extensive detailed GCMS notes, so based on the refusal, the officer was not convinced of the applicant's employer-employee relationship. Because, you know, when you intercompany transfer, folks, you need to have worked 1 year out of the last 3 years and prove that you've been paid for that work. Otherwise, you're not eligible to be transferred as an intercompany transferee. So this applicant provided neither pay stubs nor payroll records to demonstrate continuous employment for at least 1 year. The officer was also concerned about the absence of any intention to rent physical premises in Canada for the new branch. The officer noted that the business plan contemplated hiring only one Canadian for the first year. So According to the business plan that was submitted, it would hire one person in the first year and up to 3 by the end of the third year, while using their engineering team back home in their home country. This suggested a low likelihood of significant economic impact or the creation of viable jobs for Canadians or permanent residents. The officer also found little evidentiary basis for this applicant's ability to support the management function. It was interesting because the officer also found that the whole application was going to invest $100,000. That was the pitch for the first 2 years, right? And it was low given the cost of rent and other business expenses, especially in, I think Toronto. The officer was also concerned about the many revolving and unidentified withdrawals and remittances transactions in the personal bank account of the applicant, the transferee. So when you put in more than $5,000 or deduct, you have to justify it in your application. You cannot just submit a bank statement, folks. This is just, you got to learn from other people's mistakes. The officer reasonably found that the applicant had no plan to rent physical premises, nor did he provide a reason for the lack of physical premises, so you have to justify. The officer acknowledged that it may be acceptable in specific cases involving senior managers or executives for premises not to be secure. However, the applicant did not provide a rationale to warrant this. So, nor did he indicate any intention to rent a physical space or shared workspace at the address provided. The officer was understandably concerned that with only one employee to be hired in the first year, there would be little incentive to establish physical premises where Shams or the applicant and the staff would go to work. So the business plan also, this is noted in the case law, was largely aspirational. This is what the officer used, and contained little information to claim general claims respecting expenses and anticipated profits. The court has repeatedly found that visa officers are entitled to be skeptical about inadequate business plans. So folks, the quality of your business plan is key. It was not unreasonable for the officer to focus on the $100,000 investment from this applicant or the company under in this intra-company transfer without assuming the projected profit. So the instructions refer to the company's ability to commence business and compensate employees. The officer noted that the applicant proposed salary was $120,000, but the investment is $100,000, folks. This does not make sense. Like, that doesn't make sense. You're investing $100,000. Oh yeah, I'm gonna pay myself $120,000. Yeah, that's a big, like, I don't know what they use for their business plan. Maybe it was like, I don't know. ChatGPT. I would say ChatGPT could do a way better business plan. The business plan provided no particulars of the number of contract workers or the duration of their employment. This is quoted from the case law. Furthermore, as the respondent points out, contract workers and third-party suppliers are already active in the Canadian economy, will not be dependent on this company, their livelihood on this company hiring them on contract. A company that proposes to transfer executives or managers must demonstrate it will be large enough to support the executive or managerial functions. This company's capacity to support management position was premised on the growth projections contained in the business plan. Again, the business plan was aspirational and largely without evidentiary foundation. It became less reliable as it projected developments in the future. It was reasonable for the officer to base the assessment of whether this company could support management positions on this short-term outlook. This is quoted from the case law. So basically, the judge sided with the officer. And the point of this, the takeaway from this case for a C12, or now it's called the C61 intra-company transfer for a new startup, folks, is that be careful with what you read in terms of your business plan, how you prepared your application. It's got to be logical. If you're doing volume work, or your legal representative is doing 100 cases of this and they're not paying attention to detail, why are you paying them? Let's look at some approval rates and refusal rates of LMIA exempt work permits. So C11, C15, C18. So this is a stat that came out. C11 is significant benefit for entrepreneurs and self-employed work permit. C15 is rural northern immigration pilot LMIA exempt work permit, so it's skilled worker, and AIP is C18, so the work permits for that. When we look at the chart, and I can't show it to you now, but it'll be posted on our article on our website, the trend is lower for C11 every year, and also for the other categories, which means, what's our takeaway? Well, we'll cover that right now. C11 in 2020, the approval rate was 73%. In 2021, it was 72%. And in 2022, folks, it was 54%. So half of you who applied with C11 were refused. Big news flash, okay? Because C11 is not for everyone. Neither is C10. Neither is C61, which is the old C12. And even in the rural northern migration pilot, we see the work permits drop from 2020 to 2022, the approval rates 91%, 86, and 77. AIP stayed about the same, right? So because as the volume increases, because the volume increased too of these applications, the refusals increase. What does that tell us, folks? It means lower quality applicants, less attention to detail, and no planning, right? Probably, I don't know what to say, folks. Be careful. If you like immigration hacks, creative immigration solutions, or in-depth analysis and exposed truth about immigration policies and updates, then you need to subscribe. Well, you may need to, you don't have to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's do a quick conclusion and we'll jump into our, our comments and questions in our audience in our YouTube live session now. If you're thinking about immigrating permanently or temporarily, you're at the right place. We just don't offer immigration, we offer solutions. I can guarantee you one point. You'll know what to expect, entire process clearly laid out for you, and all the risks identified. Our legal agreements are based on payment milestones, which are linked to your application progression. We don't take 100% advance payment for your business immigration applications. You're in full control of the program you choose for immigration, and all we do is give you the options for you, what you're eligible for, and then you decide. Does your local immigration agent or representative offer you that? We have a $1 million liability insurance which protects you and us from fraudulent mistakes, as well as a dedicated client trust account, which is insured with our Canadian banks. Our team speaks over 9 languages, and we help applicants from over 50 different countries during the immigration process. And I'm not kidding, folks. Click the link below this video and get a free email assessment after it's posted on YouTube. And if you're ready to apply one-on-one with me or one of my licensed team members for consultation, you can also use the consultation link in the description of this video when it's posted on our YouTube or our social media. And if you want to take our immigration knowledge for test drive before you book the one-on-one, then tune in onto our YouTube channel every week for a regularly streamed live stream where we answer all of your immigration questions for free on the spot. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll be notified when we go live and which day of the week we'll be going live. Okay, folks, let's jump in. What do we have? Lots of people, lots of questions. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, Shahid Siddiq, good morning. Good morning back. Shahid Siddiq says, upon receipt of a work permit around 7 months ago, we didn't move to Canada till now due to delay in our product finalization. Ah, Shahid, yes. You did send me that email and I told you to come onto YouTube Live. So that's good. So you said you got the work permit, right, for your startup visa group, right? And you didn't come to Canada when you got it due to delay in our product finalization. Job commitment and intern kids academic session midterm. Okay. Our IRCC raised a concern during our PR that how essential is that you come to Canada to start this company if you haven't come in the last 7 months since being approved? How do we respond to this query? Well, Shahid, you have to provide supporting documentation. What have you done in the business? Why did you not come? And you mentioned job commitments, not acceptable to IRCC. And kids. Okay. Maybe you could have come and the spouse would have stayed back and come in later, right? And product finalization. Okay, you need to clarify that. Do you have documentation to prove that at that point your product was at this level? Who did you hire? Who did you pay there? Was your physical presence required to stay back and not come to Canada? Was it a medical issue? Was there something in the family? But you have to provide documentation, okay? Was it something in terms of you had a plane ticket, you had booked it, but you had to cancel it, right? You know, maybe you had booked meetings and flight tickets, but you had to cancel it, right? Because if you just apply for work permit and didn't come, and then now you're coming up with ideas If you write something, they will just say, well, yeah, we don't believe you. You actually have to provide documentation and proof of why you didn't come. And if you worked on the business overseas, what was so significant that it required your presence there? Was, maybe your investment money was stuck somewhere and you were trying to liquidate it. You have to come up with something. But at the same time, let's say you come up with proof of why you couldn't come, right? And again, why you couldn't come, not the whole family. And if it's the whole family needs to go together, why? Is there a medical need? Is there something that is significant that, a few months you can't be there? During this time, if you can overcome that, at the same time, you need to prove what's been happening in your business for the last 7 months, or that during that 7 months. Has it made significant traction back home or in that region that it required your presence? You attended meetings, key meetings, events, conferences, exhibitions, right? You do need to justify that shit. So if you have any of those, throw them in, supporting documents. If you don't, then it'll be a difficult ride. IRCC raises a concern. Also, okay, so IRCC, so this is Shahid, continue with this question. Asked to provide intellectual property registration, any business transactions that have been made, and communication exchange between you and the designated entity. So basically, they want to see, do you have a relationship with your incubator? This is very important. You need to update your incubator or venture capital angel investor every 3-4 months. IRCC every 6 months. It's not written anywhere, but that's the rule of thumb. 2, you need innovation. Innovation means you may have intellectual property or something similar to that, or maybe you haven't filed intellectual property, but you need to show what intellectual property you have. If you haven't registered for a patent filing, IP, then you have to justify why, because some people prefer not to. But if you haven't done anything, that's not good. Any business transactions that have been made. So they're challenging you. They're saying, did you do any deals? Did you pay anyone? Did you get money from anyone? Anything that you can provide that the business was actual. So potentially, if you don't reply clearly with a proper documentation, it could be that they would issue a procedural fairness letter to you, Shahid, and they may be looking at refusal. Intellectual property is just filing for a patent, or filing or researching patents, talking to a lawyer, or maybe coming up with a patent strategy if you haven't done the filing, or an explanation of why you don't want your intellectual property to be in the public realm as a patent. And that will require research and correspondences and, like justification, technical justification. So I hope I've given you some insight. Muhammad Omar Khan, hi Reza, what's the significance of receiving the pre-arrival notice after the ADR, background updated information, PCC? It means your PR is under process, no more questions, Muhammad. So you might get your PR in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months, okay? Like the passport request letter. If you're overseas, if it's inside, you'll get a digital inside inland Canada COPR request to update your information and then issue your digital COPR. Nazir Hassan, hi Reza, I have received below message from IRCC. Have you secured a location for your business? What steps have you been taken to do so? We have applied for PR under SDV program, not moved to Canada till now. We have just started looking for office locations. How do we respond? Well, Nazir, I know you work with Shahid. I guess you guys are in the same group. You have to have justification of why you didn't identify at least a location or rent out a location. You could have said, well, I've been in touch with realtors and we've had back and forth. They've sent me listings and we haven't found the right place. And we did. One of our co-founders was supposed to go, and due to, I don't know, personal reasons or whatever reasons we discussed this earlier in this live session, they couldn't go to finalize the agreement. Or maybe you wouldn't, you made a bid, an offer, and the landlord didn't accept because you had no Canadians at that time there. Or a justification why you don't need the space now. Well, we're doing the MVP. It's all online right now. we don't need it. If it's hardware, then it's a tough one. It depends on your business concept. If you're doing a service or an online SaaS, then we're going to be doing remote. We just need a virtual office. We've been in touch with, we've identified these office spaces for virtual officers. So you've got to throw in the kitchen sink there and convince the officer that this is, it was in progress and it was maybe not critical in our roadmap. It was like 10th priority, right? But if your business requires it, then that's a challenge that the officer's making, right? So you got to be careful with that. Bhupinder, you know what, Bhupinder? This morning, can you believe it? I was thinking about you, right? I was like, what happened to Bhupinder? He hasn't been around for like 2 months. I don't know if you were, but like when I was traveling, but that is cool. That is like some serious energy stuff, folks. Nice to see you, Bhupinder. Are you in Manitoba or are you in India? Rosita says, hello, Razajun. Good luck. Thank you, Rosita, for that positive vibe. Angel, very good morning. Angel, as always. Good to see you. Safa Salah, Haraza, great to see you again. Safa, do you have your PR yet? Reza, you have a very informative video about the mistakes of SUV founders. How I showed the IRCC my work permit progress is in my business plan, and how to be active. I mean my activeness for every 6 months. Well, just you gotta create reports what you've done with documents, Safa. It's simple. Imagine you're the teacher, and imagine IRCC officer's the teacher, and you're the kid, the applicant, right? And they're saying, did you do your homework? And they're like, yeah, I did my homework. I'm like, okay, tell me how, when, prove to me. That's how you have to do it. If it's a real business, that's the whole point, Safa, right? You've got to show, like, have you had meetings? Did you attend conferences, events as this company? Have you hired a contractor? Have you to do the MVP? Have you done pilots? Have you done partnerships, MOUs, joint ventures? Have you rented a place? Have you relaunched something, a product? Have you had key meetings? Have you invested money, raised money, did crowdfunding? I don't know. You gotta, or maybe do specific events. And of course, your relationship with the incubator is important too, like we've seen with the questions they've asked. Was Nazir and Shahid's group. But folks, don't be shy, share your information, and will be no judgments here in this group. We want to help each other out. Mohammed Omar Khan, if the founders are in Canada and one of the founders receives his ECOPR, which is folks, a digital electronic confirmation of PR, while he is on a business travel outside Canada, can he simply get back to Canada on his work permit visa and accept the ECOPR? So there's 2 steps, Mohammed. If they first ask you for the PR details to issue the COPR, the digital one. If you've passed that and you've been issued the COPR, you cannot travel back with a work permit visa. Okay, because you're officially a Canadian PR without the PR card. So what happens is somebody has to send you the PR card, because it'll be mailed to you in Canada. Because if you actually receive the COPR, not the information request to issue the COPR, but if you've actually received it, you are officially a Canadian permanent resident. Congratulations. But the downside is you're overseas and you cannot travel back with a visa. It's got to be with the PR card or travel document. And don't go even there with the travel document. You're going to be stuck for a while. Get the PR card, mail it out to you, come back. And if they ask you, it is what happened. Banafshe Behzadi, hi Reza June. Hello Banafshe, how are you? Nice to see you. I think you've joined our group before this live, not sure, but welcome. And if you've been here before, maybe it's my memory. I gotta take more vitamin supplements. Mohammed Omar Khan, how are the days towards citizenship calculated after receiving the PR? For example, I'm closed work permit from past 1 year. Is it 6 months considered from my stay and additional 5 years covered the rest? Okay, they look at the past 5 years, and anytime you've spent inside Canada, you need to meet, 3 years basically for citizenship. Your work permit, as you correctly stated, right? Pimonier, Pimonier. Or no, this is Mohammed. Sorry, so we're not at Pimonier's question yet. Your work permit will allow you, or study permit or visitor visa even, could allow you to claim up to 1 year for every half day. For every day you spend inside Canada, a half day. So if you've been in Canada for a year, fully for a year, 6 months of that will go towards your 3-year citizenship eligibility, which means if you stay from your PR time to your eligibility for citizenship, you only need another 2.5 years to become eligible. So 6 months from the work permit, because you stayed 1 year, half a day for every day credit for a maximum of 1 year credit. And then deduct that from 3 years from the date you receive your COPR, confirmation of PR, your landing or your digital COPR. And that'll allow you to do the citizenship application on the date you become eligible. So I hope that's clarified the question. And now let's go to Pimonier. Question. If I applied for a study permit before January 21st, 2021, I'm waiting on approval, will I be able to still apply for spousal open work permit when I get my study permit? Yes, you will be. Okay. Safa Saleh, yes, we answered that. And then you mentioned also the success rate of SUV is 75%. It is very high, in fact. Why is this rate high in your opinion? Safa, it's because it's higher volume of applications coming in, and they want to, as I said before, and it's been announced, 17,000 PRs that need to be processed with startup visa and self-employed federal business immigration program in the next 3 years, between 2024, 5, and 6. And that's if the government doesn't change till then. So they need to process 17,000 folks in SUV and self-employed. Self-employed is just this much. And it's like the most failed program in all of Canadian immigration. It's like, 3-4 years to get a PR. So SUV, they're just pumping them out, right? But they're still refusing 25%. 25% of today is the equivalent of 35 or 40% 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So we still have similar number of refusals, but it's just the volume's different and the rate has increased, and because they need to meet the target rate. So if the government comes and says, oh, we don't want 17,000 in this category, if they adjust it to 12,000, the refusals will go up because the applications are a lot. And if they say, oh, we need 19,000, well, you'll see an uptick in approval as long as the applications aren't increasing even further, which they have significantly in the last few years, especially in the last year. And folks, I'll be really honest with you. We've seen some really crazy approvals for startup visa, like cases where, like, if I was the officer, well, maybe not me, but somebody who has no clue, I'd refuse them. I'd be like, no, you haven't done anything, right? So they are approving a lot of them, but they are refusing. So you don't be a sitting duck. Don't be easy targets for IRCC officer, especially for startup visa PR program. Sahil Malik. Hi, Reza. My 3 members of my SUV group got their PR file numbers in October 2023 with biometrics. Other 2 are pending. Will I get my PR end of this year, or should I apply for work permit? No, you'll get it this year, Sahil. But remember, it's always good to have one person in the group be in Canada as your startup group. If you have nobody in the group, you should have one person on with status inside Canada working on the business, getting things started. So you will get it, right? It might take another 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Your work permit may take as long. So you got to weigh the options here. Safa, we received as founders of SUV a lot of documents to be updated after the medical test, like the police clearance certificate and IMM forms. Do you think that there's a positive indication? Well, they're processing your application, Safa, so that's positive. But they may come back with more rounds, or they may not, of questions. So be ready, but it's good. There's a human being, a live human being, not AI, looking at your SUV PR applications for all of your group. Excellent. And it's always one person handling that group. Even if there's multiple officers who pass it on stages, each stage is handled by one officer, unless they always check with their supervisor if they have doubts, which is quite common. Fatima Azavia. Hi, Reza. It is good being in your live again. Fatima. Okay, Fatima, when was the last time you were here? Because I can't recollect. But that's okay. Thank you for joining us. It's been good. It's good being in your live again. I have a question. If my spouse dual intent visitor visa has been pending for 8 months, is there any way we can expedite it? Oh, our spouse PR has also exceeded 18 months. Do you know how long security screening takes? It depends, Fatima, on the nationality. I've seen certain nationalities from Middle East taking way longer for security checks. Also, do you know the successful rate for mandamus letters of demand? There's no official statistics on that, but what happens is this. Look at the last correspondence from IRCC on your case, right? Or your spouse's case. If it's more than 7 months and it's gone past the standard processing time, you can issue a mandamus letter demanding a decision. But they can counter that saying it's a security check. But if 7 months haven't passed, then you can't, it's not effective. But if they have, you can. And what you can do is you can also send a demand letter that the processing time has passed and it's been over 7 months since the last correspondences. And if you don't have and we've gone through these steps and documents and we've replied to all your questions. And if you don't have a response in the next 21 days, let's say on this date, we will issue a mandamus letter of demand, right, with the courts. And that will trigger your officer to actually tell you and issue you a response. And we've done it before, and it's worked. Not worked like giving you a decision, it's worked getting them a response. And what they say sometimes it's under security check. And that locks you in. There is case law that shows that courts have sided with applicants if it's way past processing times and it's ridiculous. But national security issues, security checks are also quite prevalent and significant, and some judges side with the IRCC. In terms of your visitor visa in general, like, you can go to the MP. I'm sure you've done that already, and just push hard with the demand letter, MP. Just bombard the IRCC because it's ridiculous. Mohammed Omar Khan, is the valid visitor visa holder still eligible for converting to work permit in case he or she gets a job while in Canada? Is this LMI exempted? No, Mohammed. You have to go for a specific LMI exemption stream if you're eligible. Otherwise, you need an LMIA to convert from a visitor visa to a work permit from inside Canada. It was eligible. And the policy expires, I believe, is it this year or next year? It is still valid as of today, this live, but let me check real quick, folks. Hold on. I'll tell you. Yeah, it's actually till next year, February 28th. It's valid. So thank you for that refresher. Mohammed, up to next year, February 28, 2024, any visitor visa applicant who has an eligible job offer can apply for a work permit from inside Canada without flag pulling. Safa Salah, again, and I'm sorry for this repeated question. No problem, Safa. You don't have to apologize. We're here. So I can imagine we're virtually sitting around a table having decaffeinated coffee or maybe green tea, or maybe you'll have caffeinated coffee and I'll have decaffeinated coffee. How long will it take to get the IRCC decision about my PR after the medical test, updated policy clearance, bank statements, and so on? It was slower last year. I've been seeing pickup this year. We've had so many approvals in the last 20, 30 days. It's not even funny. So I think, Safa, in the next 30 to 90 days, your group will have some news, like some significant milestone, okay? Because I'm seeing much faster processing, folks. Folks, in the last 90 days, we've had at least 10 to 20 of our SUV clients getting their PR. Knock on wood. Yes, it's real wood, not vinyl. Sahel Malik, have their fast-tracked SUV program announced by Minister Sean Fraser. Timeline for SUV be 12 months after the submission. No, Sahel, the minister has not done anything on startup visa yet, neither the previous promises or the future changes. But we do expect that he will have time in the next 6 months to look at SUV. So in the second half of this year, we believe they will make some eligibility changes, or there's a lot of talk, right? This is just rumors. There's no clear crystal ball into the SUV, but they're coming to it. They will. See how they've changed international students? SUVs, although they have a target, they want to control the applicants coming in, because there's been a lot of negative sentiment internally based on documents that were requested on Access to Information Privacy Act by various practitioners in this industry. So we do expect changes to come, but it could be 6, 10, 12, 15 months. We don't know. Nothing has happened. None of the previous promises from last year from Minister Fraser have been implemented. So they've put everything on hold. They're just kind of monitoring and probably going to look at it in depth on the changes by this, by mid of this year, and implement something maybe end of this year, or who knows. But it is coming. We don't know when. It's kind of like that earthquake. It's like places which are like earthquake prone, like on a tectonic plate, and it's like the earthquake is overdue by 120 years. Have you seen those places? Yeah, this is that, folks. The SUV, if you want to apply, you apply today, because you don't want to wait later. Whoever wants to get their BR this year, just apply today. Don't wait. Okay. Another question by Mohammed Omar Khan. For any new groups as startup visa, is it okay for an essential member not to apply for work permit and delay it for a period of 6 months after the PR application submission? Any red flags? No, not significantly, as long as the business is going and one of you comes to Canada to start, run, operate, and manage the business. But delaying it a little bit is fine. And remember, Mohammed, it is slow, and you may get a refusal the first time. So why don't you apply a little bit slower and then just kind of drag it on, so it does look like you had the intention to come. Angel, Reza, it's done for me. My SUVP application is approved. That's a ton for all the valuable information. Thanks a lot for all the valuable and keeping me on the toes with your raw truths, full of gratitude. No problem, Angel. I may have scared you more than I should have, but in general, we always like to be safe rather than sorry. Because if you get refused after 2-3 years, you don't want to be on that boat. Okay? So you got to be diligent, work hard. Don't make those simple mistakes that most people do. And Angel, congratulations. Congratulations for your PR. Finally, you passed it. Next step, maybe citizenship, maybe not, depending on if you want to give up your original citizenship. Fatima, also, do you know the successful rate for Manitoba status? No, unfortunately, no official stats that I have access to. Neoa Loverd Miro, please, if I'm coming on a closed work permit, what are my options on getting a permanent residence during my stay? Well, it depends on the program now. Like, work permit is a temporary immigration program. You have temporary status. Then you need to apply for PR program, which has other eligibility criteria. You need to be eligible for that to apply. Mike, please, is it a must that a student with a 1-year work permit applying for a PG must get only jobs that have LMIA? No. Is it a must that a 1-year permit apply for PG must? No, I mean, you have a 1-year postgraduate work permit, Michael. So you have that. But after that, yeah, you either in that 1 year apply for your PR, or you may have to end up going through an LMI exempt or LMIA stream. Paul Esti, hi. I'm unsure if this is within your expertise or part of today's topic. Don't worry, we'll tell you. Today's topic is everything. So, enjoying your videos for its clarity and candidness. My question is regarding the super visa. Okay, we'll try our best, Paul, but if I can't reply, I'll let you know. Currently in Canada on a visitor visa, that's you, but realize that the super visa is more in tune with what we need. Is there a way to apply for super visa inland without the need to go back to my home country? Yeah, Paul, that I've heard that before, and that's a very good question, by the way. I've never done it from inside Canada because technically you have to be outside Canada. So you could apply for online and say you're outside, but if the officer catches wind, they could say, no, you got to apply from outside and refuse you. So officially, we don't have any cases where they've applied inside Canada and been successful. So, there may be cases, but I'm not aware of those, or office isn't aware of those. But officially on the regulations, no. Bhupinder, and remember, it's the time of application, Paul. So you can leave, apply, come back until they issue a super visa. So that's possible because at the time of application, you need to meet eligibility criteria. So literally you could go out today, apply later this evening, and come back the next day. For example, that's very unusual, but just to give you an idea, okay? Bhupinder, it's telepathy. You remember that I'm here? I'm in New Delhi. Nice, Bhupinder. Nice. Great to see you, man. Great. I can't see you, but great to see you are here in the audience and listening and watching. And you guys have to put on cameras, man. I have to see you. Okay, Mohammed Omar Khan, I have the valid visitor visa and work permit, which is valid for 2 years. Do I still have to apply for a new visa just to get my COPR? Yeah, so Mohammed, if you actually are a confirmed PR, none of those visas are valid anymore. That's what I said. None of those work permits, visas, whatever you have, which is for temporary residents, non-PRs, are not valid anymore. Maybe the plane will allow you, the airline will allow you to board, but at the border, they're like, you're a PR. This visa is invalid. So go back to my original answer. Suhani Asif, hi dear sir, I'm a huge fan of you. Thank you, Sahir. Suhani, I'm working on my startup project and soon pitch my idea to the designated body in Canada. I'm not sure how long that body takes to approve it to allow us if any idea accepted. Well, it depends. Some are slower, 2-3 months. Some are quick, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months, depending on the cohort admission process. So you have to be admitted, go through that program. So the fastest I've seen, there's some that can issue it real quick and are useless, but 4 weeks is the fastest standard. And then some can take up to 90 days, as long as you are admitted and go through the cohort or the program that I have. Some of them don't have a program too. Vilas Desa, hi Raza. Vilas here, hope you're doing well. Hello, Vilas. Seems Sean Fraser's announcement have no bearing. Yeah. It's just like, the thing is, ministers are busy, folks. They're not looking at every single program. They look at the aggregated, like the high level overview data stats, and they're like, okay, public policy, sentiment, politics, and then they make decisions with key stakeholders, which are usually internal, right? So they just blurb stuff out, like implementation. And even when you go back to my assessment of this new minister who came after Sean Fraser, I said he's a realist, and that's what he's been doing. He's clawing back, like, hey, we can't handle all this. We got to claw back, and I believe that's what's going on. Mohammed Omar Khan, I really like how you explain things very meticulously and professionally. Glad to attend this session. Thanks a lot. No problem, Mohammed. Glad you joined. Bhupinder, where are you? My niece has been there in Winnipeg for 3 years and waiting for PNP. Oh, no, but Bhupinder, I thought it was your daughter. She got her PR, right? Already, right? Mohammed Omar Khan, what would be the reason preventing getting PR approval even after pre-arrival notices issued? I read in blogs that there are cases where PR has been rejected even after getting PR. It depends, because maybe the eligibility, they find out something like critical pertinent fact, like some admissibility, eligibility, or the person lied, or maybe something came out, something like really serious. I'm not talking about regular stuff. They've already reviewed your documents, are happy, they're processing. But if some information is revealed or surfaces that can undermine everything, yeah, I never say it's 100% with pre-arrival. It's You've done it correctly. They're going through PR process, but the PR process in there, they're still doing checks, and they're just getting everything together for you. So if something comes up, yeah, for sure. Rahul Pusapati, my biometric completed on February 1st. When can I expect a decision on my SOWP application? Depends on where you are, Rahul. It could take anywhere from 2 to 6 months, and anywhere in between. South Central America quicker, Middle East, Southeast Asia slower. Nasser Amini, hello sir. I have applied for spouse sponsorships from Sweden on October 18th. I got an AOR on December 6th. When can I expect biometrics and medical? It could take 6 to 12 months, Nasser. So you may receive it the first half of this year if it's a very quick, straightforward. If it's more complicated, it can take up to a year, but it's very difficult to guess. Usually, most cases are done within 10 months of application. The AOR is 18th, 6th December. So I would say anywhere from June to December this year, you should have a PR or a decision. Top trailer, after submitting PCC to IRCC, what will happen for family sponsorship? They'll just go through the process. So I can't actually explain exactly every single detail of that process, but that's just generally it. Rohit Chopra, my daughter had applied for study permit restoration as my work permit renewal was refused. The biometric confirmation came on January 10th, but no update. Restorations can take some time, Rohit, so you've got to wait. It's not going to be a month or so. Sometimes it could take several months, and you have to make sure the restoration, she's eligible for restoration. Based on what is she restoring for study permit, right? Was she a dependent of you, right? So those are important. Shahnawaz Sheikh, sir, when will I get ITA from IRCC? I don't know, Shahnawaz, because I'm not handling your case, so I don't know the program. Shana Rafi, hello Reza. Do you ask for biometric after sending the PR application again? The TRV bio is still valid, 10 years, application sent from inside Canada. No, not for PRs. They've removed that. You need a new PR for biometrics for PR. Vilas said, where are we for December 22nd submission? Where are we for December 22nd submission? Oh, December 2022 start of visa, Vilas. This year. I mean, there's no exact timeline. It's just they're looking at it this year, right? So you'll receive details this year or some correspondences, maybe second half, depending on how quick they go through the whole pile. Sherman Sheikh, hi, I got refused for a study permit last year. I have a letter of acceptance in Condostega to study postgraduate program. My program starts in this May. I wish to reapply. What are the chances of approval? Chances of approval are low, and you need a attestation, provincial attested letter. Paul Steve, thanks for answering my question. If I may make a follow-up, can I make that application from the US? Yeah, as long as you're outside and you have status in the US, that's also important. Bhupinder, my question is deleted from the list. Oh, it was out of syllabus. Oh, no, my daughter received pre-arrival, not PR. Okay, thanks, Bhupinder. That's good. I mean, pre-arrival is 99% there. Finally, Sosa, good to see you. Hi, Reza, glad to join this live to discuss valuable info. Keep blessing my YouTube feed. I'll try to be first since I joined this week live late again. No worries, Finally, Sosa. Great to see you. High five. Bhupinder, great to see you. And if you have a question, you rewrote the question, I'll get to that immediately. Muhammad Salahuddin, hi Reza, I have a valid visitor visa. Can I get enrolled for a master's program from inside Canada, get a study program? If you meet the minimum eligibility requirements of converting a visitor visa to a study permit, which usually includes completing a prerequisite for an admission program within the first 6 months of you arriving in Canada. So be careful with that. Dalver Singh, my college is Lambton, Toronto in May, and I got my visa already in August, so I will get my PGWP. Well, you have to study, Dalvir. So I assume you studied and you graduated, or no? Because the graduation is one thing, a visitor visa is something else, a postgraduate work permit is something else. There could be linked together, but they're not all 100%. The graduation, then the postgraduate work permit. The visa is separate. It's in your passport that allows you to come and go. Postgraduate work permits don't issue visas unless you're applying from outside. So we would need a little bit more clarity on that. Safa Saleh, folks, please like the webinar. We are 40, but only 2 likes. Come on. Yeah, that's a good point. There's 16 likes, so thank you, Safa, for bringing that to our attention. I appreciate it. If your hands are not too heavy and the keyboard's not too far, or the mouse, reach out and press the like button. And if you have, thank you very much, because otherwise I'll be fired. Finally, Sosa AP Kame says hi. Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Sosa. Pass on my regards. Thanks for the 17th like, by the way, folks. Bhupinder, question. Nice. The one that was deleted. For my niece, she did a diploma in Toronto, then shifted to Winnipeg after getting a work permit. Now working in finance company, waiting for PNP. Her score 615. What's your opinion? I think it's good, Bhupinder. It's just that PNP is really behind, like I said. So it may be a little bit slower than your daughter's process in general, like invitations, processings, but because they're going to probably be lighter weight ITAs until they finish their backlog. But for sure, this is a good profile, good case. I would highly suggest that she sticks to it, and this year she'll have an ITA soon. But when, nobody knows. But I just know that they're so backlogged with PNP right now in Manitoba. Top trailer, how long it takes all timelines of spouse and dependent child apply for PR visa? It usually is supposed to be done within 12 months, top trailer. Okay, usually within 12 months. It does, 85% of the cases are done within 12 or less months. Bhupinder, she's waiting since 3 years. Holy moly. Holy moly. So she's been there for 3 years working, Bhupinder? Just let me know. Subhani Asif, dear Reza, thanks for your valuable time and information helping us to understand the situation and significant changes that happen with the current system. Thank you, Suhani, for that comment. Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, we're here to help. We've dedicated an hour. We're over an hour now, folks, so I've got to go. Rohit Chopra, in our SUV group, 2 members received permanent file numbers in September 2023. However, 2 have not yet received it. Is it a red flag? PR application was made in February 2022. When is it likely to get a decision? So I would say that it's not a red flag, and it could be your PR will be processed this year, like your decision for PR will be processed this year. Okay, maybe link it to the online tracker. I know I don't believe in it, but maybe that can give you some clarity. If they don't have the permanent file numbers, they can't link it. That's a good point. But no, it's not a red flag. But if it doesn't get received for the other 2 members by June, that's an issue. Okay, so they may have been lost somewhere. Bhupinder, yes, she's been there for 3 years. Now she's thinking of shifting to PEI. Oof. That is not good. That is not good. When does her work permit expire, Bhupinder? Because she's been there working for 3 years. I mean, that sounds like, she may not have another 1 year left, right? Harpal Riyadh. Hello, Reza. Hello, Harpal. Thanks for joining. December 24th. Whew. That is not good, Bhupinder. So literally in less than 10 months, she can't even. That's not good. That's not good. Yeah, it's put me into deep thinking, Bhupinder. It's not good. I mean, Manitoba is good. PI is great. Yeah, I mean, PI is small. If she's in Winnipeg, she's enjoying the big, like, semi-big city lifestyle. Yeah. Has she contacted PNP to see about her profile? And maybe I would say, Bhupinder, maybe write a letter I would say Manitoba would care. Have her write a letter, and of course you can help. The family can help, but she'll write a letter to PNP explaining her timeline. She's in the pool. She's been there for 3 years. She has I guess a cousin, your daughter, and everyone's there. Everyone's planning to settle there, and she's been there waiting for PR. And now she's considering moving out because her work permit will expire end of this year. I think get a letter out to PNP from her, written, and then I think then just wait for 1 or 2 months, 1 month for a response, 4 to 6 weeks. I think, put her profile details, the number in the PNP, all that. And how many points does she have in express entry, Bhupinder? Mike, thanks for all your great and valuable information. Someone told me that I can only work on a company that has at least 5 Canadian employees after I get my postgraduate work permit. No, that's only in Ontario, Toronto. If you want to be sponsored under the International Student Stream PR program, right? So that's if the employer is in Toronto. So, you're asking different things because that is completely separate, Michael. If you are being sponsored for PR through the Ontario Provincial Program, the employer needs eligibility, which means revenues and employer. But if you're just working, you could be working for anyone. But that won't mean you'll get a PR just working for somebody. So keep those in mind. Top trailer, IRCC asking us to give PCC for PR visa. And can you tell us what comes next? Police clearance certificate. It could be the next, could be medical if you haven't done a top trailer. I'm not sure. Bhupinder, after shifting, is there any chance to get PR? I will ask her to connect with you. Yeah, 615. No, in express entry, Bhupinder. What's her points in express entry? Because she's worked for 3 years. My God. Shana Rafi, do you have experience with Alberta rural? Yes, Shana, we do rural Alberta. Harpal Riyat, I did my master's in computer science from USA and also have 10 years of experience as a software engineer in US. I'm 35, looking for best option to move to Canada, India now. Please guide. 10 years of the best is Harpal, you either get employed, sponsored by a company to come over, or you apply for startup visa program. I'm sorry, that sounds like the only realistic one. Mike, please, what are the criteria to know companies that are qualified to apply for graduate jobs? You can apply for graduate jobs for any company that has payroll. But the point is, Mike, PR is different than just working for a work permit. So remember, you can work for any company that's legitimate and has payroll, right? That's different than the PR program. So they don't need any eligibility criteria for you to work for them on a work permit, but it may not lead to a permanent residency. Mike, please, James Arthur, thanks, boss. I did my biometrics on November, but there is no reply yet. Yeah, James, I forgot what the subject was. Edgar Hiraza, I'm closed work permit and got laid off. My daughter's student permit expires March 14. Can I still extend for study permit? So this is a good question, folks. Closed work permit, LMIA, got laid off. My daughter's on a study permit, expires in March. Can I still extend? So you cannot extend her permit based on your status. You can only extend her permit based on, okay, you're applying for a study permit to continue her to stay in Canada if she's a minor, to continue her studies separately, independently, not based on you. You'd have to get a lot of documentation together. Zubair Shafi Hareza joined late, but will replay the video. Great to hear from you. Likewise, Zubair. Folks, we got to go. JB Cool Smile. Do undergrad students have to submit the attestation? Yes. Bhupinder, EE is $399. Oof. Has her employer considered doing an LMIA, Bhupinder? Just to boost her to like 450. Still low, though. Still low. Yeah, get that letter to PNP Manitoba. I'm not convinced or sold on moving to another province with 10 months left in her work permit. It's not good. Not good. Makan Singh, spouse's visa processing time. Folks, family processing is anywhere from 10 to 12 months. 85% of the time. And if you fall in the 15, then nobody knows. Pulin Pandya, what is total expense for startup visa? It can be anywhere from 40,000 to 150, 200,000. It depends how much you invest in your business and if you go venture capital, angel investor, incubators. Zubair Shafi, my question is, after getting a PR for startup visa, is there any limitation to extend our business in other segments? After your PR, you can do anything you want. Avais Salahuddin, I'm at 338. Can I LMI help? Nope. Avais, unless a PNP will invite you or the category-based selection draws in express entry. Folks, we got to go. I'm way late for a meeting. Thanks. See you next week. Bhupinder, work permit is up to 2025. So December 24, 2025. Okay, do this, Bhupinder. Get the letter to PNP, wait 60 days. Nothing happens. In the meantime, do some research on the other provinces, your niece basically, not you, right? But give it a shot. Give the letter a shot. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And yeah. And also, if you have, like, now your daughter, or if you have family who's PR in Canada, citizen, they can go to a local MP too, right? And get everything pushed through, okay? How much do you charge to do an application, Charmaine? Unfortunately, I don't quote on live stream. Bhupinder, see you soon. Folks, if you don't know when we're going live, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care. Have a good one. And remember, plan, research, and be careful when you're doing your immigration. Edgar, see you later. Bye-bye.